Boom, boom, boom. Always, I think that's going to be my thing. Just starting with like a nice little beat to begin the episodes. Welcome back to .NET Phillies. Obviously, I say obviously. I've been rewatching some of the older ones. I'm like, God, do I really say that all the time? I do. I kind of start bump up, kind of reel everybody in. And then I always say, obviously, XYZ happens. So, welcome back to .NET Phillies. Again, in case people haven't watched the other ones, if I'm looking down a lot, it's because my laptop is here and my notes are down here. So I don't mean to be rude if I'm not speaking directly to you. I'm making sure I'm covering my bases here. So, Phillies took 2 out of 3 from the Reds. Should have been a sweep, but that's what I asked for in the last podcast. I said just take 2 out of 3, get back on track. That's what they did. There was a lot of good this weekend. A lot of good. There was some bad. We'll get to the bad. And I'm trying different things for this one to see what it sticks. Obviously, the format's going to be the same. We'll go over every single game and preview the next one. But a new kind of I don't want to call it a segment. It's not really a segment. It's more so observations is keynotes and predictions for the next series. So the next series and predictions will kind of be one segment, I guess, and keynotes will kind of be at the end. And then so the format basically I don't know if this is going to stick. I just kind of thought of it last night when I was getting everything. Also, thank you for the patience here. Obviously, this series ended last night. It was Easter. We were celebrating. I hope everybody had a great Easter, great Passover, whatever you celebrate. So there wasn't an episode last night, so I'm doing it this morning. I hope that's okay because I don't care if it is or not. That's what I was doing. So the format is going to be from now on, seemingly, it's going to be the I don't know if you heard a beep. I'm sorry. Obviously, I recorded my basement. There's a lot going on right now, and I feel like I'm rambling. And you're not watching for me to ramble. There was a beep. There's a lot of stuff going on, but back on track. Format from now on is going to be the overviews of all the games, my thoughts on it, key plays, all that stuff. The pitching matchup, or excuse me, back to the girl. I'm struggling here today. It's 9:30 in the morning. I'm not used to recording in the morning anymore. So I'm kind of gathering myself. I went to Chick-fil-A and got breakfast. I got like a biscuit and coffee, and it was really good. So shout out to Chick-fil-A. So I'm still a little tired, but format, all the game reviews, keynotes, I guess new segment, next series, and predictions for that series. So let's get right into it. With the Cincinnati Reds and the Phils. Phils had their home opener. It was moved from Thursday to Friday. They could have played Thursday, but there were storms in the forecast, so they moved it to Friday, which was fortunate for me because I could watch it. What a concept. So before the game, we found out that Derek Hall was going to miss a couple months. He was headed to the IL, and Cody Clemens was being called up. Cody Clemens was in the starting lineup today. So that kind of stinks. And I think if I'm Dave Dombrowski, I have it later on in my notes, but I might as well bring it up now. Rob Thompson said before yesterday's game that as of now, they're sticking Alec Bohm at first and Edmundo Sosa, who's earned that playing time. I love Edmundo, is going to be the everyday third baseman. I like it now. I think Edmundo has earned those at-bats. I think he's played extremely well in spring training. He played extremely well when he got traded over here. In the limited at-bats, he's hit very well. He's a spark plug. He plays excellent defense. He had a great defensive play yesterday. I like it. I understand the hesitancy with Bohm because he made such great strides defensively at first, and now you're moving him away to first base, a position that he has played, just not in bulk like this, but I trust Bobby Dickerson to get the best out of him. Bobby Dickerson obviously is the infield coach for the Phillies. I trust him to get the most out of Alec Bohm at first base. So I'm not worried at all. He's looked comfortable there in the series. He played every single game at first. So besides obviously the first game, he played games 2 and 3 at first base, and he looked comfortable over there. So I trust Bobby Dickerson to do the best job he possibly can to get the most out of Alec Bohm playing first base. But I think this is the best format internally. If you're not going to bring in a Jesus Aguilar, a CJ Cron, those guys, your best option right now is internally is what we're seeing now, where you have Bohm at first, Sosa at third. So I like it. So back to the game. The Phillies took game 1, 5-2. It felt like a classic. Like it felt like the postseason again. It felt like we were picking up right where we left off in October, and it was just electric and loud, and people were into it and excited to see the Phillies. And before the game, they raised the 2022 flag, and you had Rhys Hoskins out there, you had Bryce Harper out there, and the ovation for Rhys was incredible. Everybody loves him. Obviously, I hung up the jersey for him, but obviously I've said what I've said about Rhys Hoskins, but like as a person, I love him, and the Phillies are missing him right now because they're getting a lot of hits, just not being able to drive them in. He always could count on him to drive the runs in. So it was good to see him out there. So back to the game. I know I apologize for all the mush right now. It's not, I usually get right to business, but I'm in a rambling mood, so screw it. Game 1, 5-2. Nick Castellanos had a pair of doubles in this game, which his approach and his entire series has been awesome. Like he was whenever he's on third base in that walk-off game in game 2, we'll get to that, but I kind of want to touch on it now because we're mentioning Castellanos. He was kind of messing with the pitcher. He was like halfway down the third base line, like waving at him, like dancing around to really get into the pitcher's head. He was doing that with Hunter Green in this game. So I'm all for cocky Castellanos. Like he's looked very good at the plate. I just wish the power was there, but I'm taking little victories here. He's worked really good at bats. He's drawing more walks. He's starting to hit doubles like he was like when he was in Chicago for that brief 2019 season. I hope this is the beginning of a really, really good Castellanos campaign. Why we're paying him $20 million. I really, really do hope that this is the beginning of that. And then in the second inning is when Hunter Green kind of was losing control of a lot of his stuff. You had really good at-bats from Jake Cave and Cody Clemens in this game. They both worked walks, and then Marsh drew a walk. In that whole second inning, I wish it was more because you do turn the lineup over to Turner. He pops out, and it was kind of like, dang it, what could have been? But I was really impressed with the approach of the entire series. Well, besides in the first game, the approaches were really well done. I thought they were being patient. They were waiting to get their pitch. I really liked their approach at the plate facing a guy like Hunter Green, who's 100, like all the time. I love Hunter Green. And I even said that in my last podcast that like this wasn't a cakewalk series. Like, yes, the Reds are bad, but they were throwing well. Ashcraft got bumped to tonight for the Reds. The Phillies aren't playing the Reds, but tonight's game. So we didn't face Ashcraft, but we threw out two of their horses. You had Lodolo and you had Hunter Green in this first 2 games of the series. So it was good to see that. And then in the 5th, Jose Barrero tied the game up with an RBI single. And then Trey Turner singled, then Kyle Schwarber doubled, and Trey Turner did the slide. He did the thing. He did the thing we've all been waiting for as Phillies fans. And that was kind of what you envisioned. Turner would get on, Schwarber would either hit a homer, hit an extra base hit, Turner would score, and that's exactly what we saw here. And then in the 6th, TJ Friedl doubled, and then Tyler Stevenson doubled to tie it up. Wheeler was fine. He was touching like 96, 97. He was kind of struggling with the little command. He had 3 walks. He just hasn't looked like Zach Wheeler. And again, I'm not worried yet. I won't be worried until we're like halfway through May if he still looks like this. And I'll be like, this is not good. So I'm not pushing the alarm yet. I'm not doing anything. So I'm not exactly worried about Zach Wheeler right now. That being said, we're going to put a pin in it. and see where we're at in May. His next start, he could go 7 shot. I'm like, okay, there he is. But these past 2 starts for Wheeler have kind of felt like it's just been like pulling, like it's been like, yes, he got you 5 innings. And yes, the last start, I think he was 5 innings as well. But it was like he was gassed. Like he was like, oh my God, like his stuff just wasn't there. So just put a pin in that. Brandon Marsh has had a base running error yesterday, but he's very fun to watch in center field, and we'll get to the base running stuff later on. That's in the new keynotes section of this podcast. But then he had a really, really nice catch in the 7th. And then, when the Phillies initially acquired him, they thought they were getting his defense, but Dave Dombrowski and Kevin Long saw something in him, and they're like, oh, we can turn that guy into like a dude. And he has been. I love Brandon Marsh. He's one of my favorite players. BCIB, 2-run home run in the 7th, but the Phil's on top. That was a nuke. That was insane how well that ball was hit. He squared up perfectly. JT, obviously, if you don't know, I'm talking about JT Realmuto, 2-run home run. It was great. I loved what I saw out of him, and he's just been really, really solid. And I think we take it for granted how just consistently good JT Realmuto is. He is the best catcher in baseball. I think, it breaks my heart to say this, but I mean, it's just the way the game is. I don't think he's the best catcher in baseball after this year. I think that's going to go to Adley Rutschman. But as of now, on this day, April 10th, JT Realmuto is the best catcher in baseball. And he just throws guys out all the time. I don't understand why people keep trying to steal on him, because they're not going to win. Like, come on, get out of here. Edmundo, the aforementioned Edmundo Sosa, pinch hit home run in the 8th to make it 5-2. Craig Kimbrell just can't pitch in the 9th inning anymore. I can't do it. It feels like in every single game he's been in the 9th, it's always been 2 runners on, and he's one bad elevated pitch. Like, he doesn't have control of his secondary stuff right now. And eventually it's all going to come out that he doesn't have his secondary stuff or feel for his secondary stuff. And I don't know if it's just the weather, if it's cold out, he can't get a grip on it, and he's struggling because obviously he's played in a lot of hot climates, well, he did play in Chicago, but he kind of sucked in Chicago, but then he was really good that one year, but it was only like a half a year. But you got to think, he was in Atlanta, then he went to San Diego, and then he was in, well, I guess Boston. Okay. My theory is incorrect. If he doesn't have feel for that, then people can just sit fastball, and he's going to get absolutely shelled out there. But he got the job done. Phillies win 5-2. My player of the game was JT Realmuto. He threw out a couple guys. He had that big home run in the 7th. So that's my player of the game, and that wraps up game. Oh, I didn't even get to the pitching. As I mentioned, Wheeler went 5 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Not pressing the panic button now. Andrew Bellotti I'll get to him right now. He pitched in every game in this series and's been lights out. He's like, get me that ball. I want it. And he's been rewarded for it. Rob Thompson, I feel like every single game, Andrew Bellotti's warming up. And every time he comes in, I'm like, oh, he's got it. I'm not worried. Like, Andrew Bellotti has been that dude so far this year. And I'm glad to see it because, Dominguez is struggling right now. Kimbrell's struggling. Soto's fine, Brogdon, I still don't trust 100% to tell you the truth. Andrew Vasquez is fine. We'll get to him in game 2. But if Bellotti can be that dude, can be that guy for you that, can go an inning every game or can go 2 innings once in a series and shut it down, why not? He pumps the strike zone. His off-speed stuff is filthy. Like, why not? Soto, Alvarado, and Kimbrell to wrap up. Each went an inning, gave up no runs. Kimbrell had a scary 9th. He gave up a hit and a walk, but eventually got out of it. So, finally on the game 2, Phillies won 3-2. My player of the game was Edmundo Sosa. Bailey Falter was really solid in this game. The first 2 innings, and I kind of want to, I'll figure it out. The Bailey Falter First 2 innings, he threw like 50 pitches, was really struggling. Only gave up 1 run on the Spencer Steer solo home run in the first, and that was 1-0 until like the 8th inning, when they decided to go to Andrew Vasquez in the 9th for some reason, and he gave up a run on a Jake Fraley sac fly. So, and I even knew because Matt Saporsky texted me, Matt Hartman texted me, and Jack Fritz tweeted it. I'm like, the Phillies are like going to score a run in the 9th after they just absolutely fumbled the bag. But to go back to Bailey Falter, he settled in really nicely. The Reds players weren't really biting at his curveball like the Rangers were in his first start. I just think that he might have just been tipping and or the arm slot was different or something smarter baseball people can pick up on and they will fix. But all things considered, I mean, he went 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Like, I'll take that. Like, Bailey Falter was good. Like, he's been really good in his first 2 starts. And again, I'm not buying too much stock into it, much to like Wheeler, much like Nola. I'm not buying too much stock into it. Get me to May, and if he's still doing this, then yeah, hell yeah, man. Like, Bailey Falter, please make me look smart, Bailey Falter, because so far my Scott Kingery take is aged like milk. My Junior Marte take is aged like milk. So please, for the love of God, make me look smart, Bailey Falter. But yeah, settled in nicely. I was very impressed with what he did, all things considered, much to how I was with Taijuan Walker in his first start of struggling and then settled in very nicely afterwards. So this game was very boring, and I'll tell you a little story. I'm a big story guy today, apparently. So I was with Ashlyn, my girlfriend. I was up at her place this weekend, and me and her Graham were watching the game together. And we watched this entire game until the 8th inning because we had dinner reservations. And this place was fantastic. I had I'm going to sound like the biggest, fattest person on earth, but I saw that on the menu. I'm like, I need to try this just out of pure curiosity. It was a burger on a donut. I had to try it. It was really, really good. I said when I ordered it, I'm like, this is either going to be the best thing I ever had or the worst thing I ever had. It was really, really good. You didn't even realize that the burger was on a glazed donut. The burger was just so perfectly well done. The bacon with it was so good. But point is, derailing here. I watched this entire game up until the 8th inning, and nothing was going the Phillies' way. Every ball they hit would get flagged down. Jake Fraley made a great catch and left, and I'm like, oh, it was just going to be one of those games. It was, it was just one of the games where I'm like, damn, like just nothing was going their way. Lodolo was shoving it up the Phillies. You know what? Like, he had 12 Ks. Like, he was fantastic for the Reds, which I kind of expected. He was pounding that inside corner. Like, I got to give credit to him. Like, he was painting the corners this entire game, and it was frustrating to watch as a Phillies fan because I'm like, oh my God, like the inside corner every single time. Inside. He would get that call. And you got to give credit to him because he was locating and he was giving what the umpire was, he was taking what the umpire was giving him. So that was frustrating to watch. But of course, I didn't watch the 9th inning, and that's when they won. Then more base running mistakes. You had second and third, and it was Kyle Schwarber was up. What inning was it? It was I'm looking. It's the third. It might have been the third or fourth inning. They finally started getting something going against Lodolo. And it was second and third. Schwarber hit this little nubber to third base. It would have scored a run if Pache didn't try to slide into third and if he just stayed put because of the way the ball was going. The third baseman, I can't remember who it was at this time. I apologize. Was flagging it down on his glove side. So he was kind of like leaning over a little bit. And he was no way he was going to be able to get a strong enough throw across to get Schwarber. But Pache tried to push it. He gets tagged out, and the run doesn't score. But hey, what are you gonna do? I don't understand why Andrew Vasquez was put into the 9th inning of this game. I really don't. It blew up almost immediately. He went an inning, a hit. He earned Ron a walk, a strikeout. Like he's been fine. Like I don't have anything bad about Andrew Vasquez. I thought he's been solid so far. I don't really like him in high leverage spots. He's more of a mop up guy more than anything, like kind of how he was in the 8-1 game. Who pitched that game for the Phillies? Wasn't Falter. God, who pitched that game one of the Yankee series? It was Strom. Was it? No, it wasn't. Why am I struggling right now? Oh my God. Whoever. Strom? No, Falter? No, Walker. Oh, it was Taijuan Walker. Oh my God. I'm second guessing myself. My apologies. That first game with Taijuan Walker, he mopped up 3 innings there and was good. He was fine. He did his job. So don't love him in high leverage spots, but hey, we got him in a higher leverage spot. So, and he gave up a run and it was 2-0. But that being said, we get to the 9th inning. Castellanos, I've been so impressed, and I talked about it, a second ago. I've been so impressed with his plate discipline. He's working great at bats. He's walking. He had 2 more walks today. Again, I hope this is the first step turning the page for Castellanos, and the power is going to start to come back because he's getting his swagger back. He's getting cocky. He's messing with the pitchers while he's on the base path. He has a new kind of setup. He has a new stance. I love it. He's not chasing that down and away pitch. I love it. Yes, Nick Castellanos is still a very infuriating player, but he's starting to turn the corner. Little victories. He leads it off with a walk. And then to follow, Bohm had a hit. It was first and third. Then Marsh RBI single in the 9th to make it 2-1. Sosa then had a sac fly, and then Bryson Stott walked it off for the Phils. Great vibes. Like this felt like a classic Phillies win. Like yes, like my guys, yes, like fought back, didn't back down, worked good at bats in the 9th, didn't just hang their heads and be like, oh, it's not our game, just on to the next. Like they fought, and they won the game, which was great. Pitching wise, I mentioned Falter. Bellotti, again, an inning, a hit, no earned runs, no walks, a strikeout. Brogdon, an inning, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. And Sir Anthony went an inning, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and no strikeouts. So pitching has been great thus far in this series. And then we get to game 3. So game 3, I was able to watch a little bit of while I was working. We have like a bar. I was working in the bar, and I had it on the TV. So I was able to watch a little bit. The Phillies got their NL Champs rings, which were beautiful. Bryce Harper was out on the field. So was Rhys Hoskins. He had the MVP chance for Rhys. He had the Rhys chance, which I don't know if I like. I don't think I do. But you had him out there. Everybody was Scott Kingery, my guy. Scott Kingery was out there, waiting for Bob Melvin to get his. I guess when the Padres are in town, the Phillies will present him and Robert Suarez with their NL Champs rings. And Castellanos had more doubles in this game. Schwarber scores. It was 1-0. And then this was kind of the start of the base running. Miscues. They had 3 runners caught on base in this game. It was not pretty. You had Schwarber running past the stop sign with Dusty Wathan, and I think this is something that the players and Dusty kind of need to work on because a lot of it seems to be happening at third base. So I think they're just going to get better. But this is the kind of thing, it's like, then what was spring training for? If you're going to make these mistakes in the regular season, why did we have spring training? Because this isn't stuff that the mistakes that big league clubs make. It was really annoying to watch, but Schwarber ran past it. Luckily it worked out. And then Castellanos, for some reason, tried to score. After that, it was thrown out by like 30 feet. And then Sosa had an RBI single in the second, 2-0. Taijuan Walker looked really, really good. He did walk 5 guys, which I'm concerned about because he walked a lot of guys in his last start. So it's April. Get me to May. I'm not overanalyzing all the pitcher stuff. I just Get me to mid-May, then I'll start to read into what their seasons are looking like. I just think it's too early to be like, this guy sucks. They need to fix this and they need to do that and need to do that. That's just me personally. Obviously, there's people out there who's going to go, they need to do X, Y, Z. So God bless you if you're one of those people. But me personally, I'm not one to really read into pitcher stats this early. Again, mid-May on, I'll be like, okay, they need to do X, Y, Z. But he looked, fourth inning was not great. Tyler Stevenson had an RBI single. Jason Vosler, excuse me, had an RBI ground out to tie it. And then I took my break around like 2:30-ish and right in time to see Alec Boehm's 2-run absolute nuke that he had. And that was the Alec Boehm, that sweet swing. Like there's a loop of it somewhere on Twitter where it's just a minute of just that swing going across and kind of like doing like the Dan Uggla kind of thing where his hands would kind of like come back here. Shout out to Dan Uggla, by the way. I hated playing him in, when he was on the Marlins, and known Nationals legend Dan Uggla. But yeah, it was cool to see that. And then Walker went 4 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Like, that's not sustainable. And I know I just said I'm not reading into it, but we're good. We're good. He was fine. Brogdon went a third of an inning, got out of that jam. And then Soto went an inning, no hits, no earned runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Alvarado again struck out the side. He has like 9 straight strikeouts, which is just like stupid. Then they went with Kimbrel in the 8th, which I like. I don't think Craig Kimbrel is used to, and I think Soto's kind of the same way, where they're not used to pitching in the 5th, 6th, 7th kind of thing. They went with Kimbrel in the 8th. You had that, I don't know if it was a misplay that led to the run scoring off of Vosler's bat. He had that RBI double to make it 4-3. Castellanos, I think, just misjudged it. It was tough to say if there was a average defensive player out there, if they would have gotten to that ball. It was a weird ball. It was in the sun. Like, I don't know. And then you get to the 9th, and it was an absolute nightmare. Seranthony, and of course, like, it was really slow at work, so I was able to watch this inning, and I'm like, oh, this is just super. Seranthony gets the first out, and I'm like, all right, we got this. Like, our guy's in. He then walks Fairchild, walks India. Friedel gets a single on like this little squibber that if they were playing normal defense, that's an inning, that's a game-ending double play. They were playing the infield in, but if they're playing normal defense, it is a game-ending double play right there, and the Phillies sweep the Reds. And I had a great title for this podcast episode if they swept. If they swept, the title was going to be, and that's what they call a winning streak. But instead, it's called Shades of 2020, because this was annoying to watch another 9th inning meltdown like it was in 2020. And I made that title last night. I did everything last night, like at like 8 or 9, since I don't have work today. After like everything was said and done, like I made all my notes. I did all the thumbnail. I did everything. I wrote out everything. So all I literally had to do was record. But I made that title last night because I'm like, God, this reminds me of 2020. I'm like, oh, there it is. But and then Jake Fraley on the most annoying hit had a broken bat RBI double down the line that just blooped over Boehm's head, cleared the bases, and then the Reds end up winning 6-4. Annoying, but I'm not. That happens to every single team. Those losses happen. Yes, it sucks. No, I'm not dinging the bell and going, hey, we got an issue here. It happens, okay? Yes, it's annoying. Yes, they should have won that game. I'm not worried at all. Like, pitchers, look at Josh Hader last year. Josh Hader, dominant, faces the Phillies, gives up the lead to Boehm and Vierling last year, and then, whatever. Like, this happens to really good pitchers. Like, that's why I'm not really worried about it. Yes, it's annoying, but we took 2 out of 3. Like, we're back on track, kind of. The hitting's there. We're still struggling with runners in scoring position. We're still striking out way too much, which is a perfect segue into the new segment, Key Notes. Probably going to change the title of that, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. So my key notes and key takeaways from this series, way too many strikeouts in this series. They had 33 total strikeouts in a 3-game series, which, if you're a mathematician, averages out to 11 a game. You can't have 11 of the 27 outs be strikeouts in a consistent basis. So just come on. I get a lot of the guys strike out on this team. Kyle Schwarber led the league in strikeouts last year. You have JT strikes out a lot. You know who doesn't? Bryson Stott, which Bryson Stott needs to be batting second. I'm sorry. Like, Bryson Stott needs to be back in batting second. He has recorded a hit in every single game this year. He has looked excellent at the plate. He worked great ABs, does not strike out. Like, you need, if you do Turner, Stott, and then Schwarber, well, you probably don't want to do 2 lefties. So if you do Turner, Stott, Real Muto, Schwarber, I'm batting Bohm 5th and Casty 6th. Or maybe if you want to do Cast, because he is working good at bats. Like, I don't know. Point is, Bryson Stott needs to be up higher in this lineup. I don't like him batting towards the bottom. I think he's been way too valuable. I don't know if I'm moving Schwarber to the 4 hole and I'm moving Stott to the 2 hole. If you have Turner, Stott, 2 guys who don't strike out a lot, who make contact, grinding ABs the first 2, and then you get to JT, who does work good at bats. But then if you get to Schwarber, who is a grinder, Castellanos, who apparently is a grinder now of at bats, then Bohm, like, pitcher's going to be cooked, seemingly, in theory, but regardless. Bad base running, they really, that is something I will be very keen on. They need to figure out the poor base running and have an internal meeting being like, you need to look up and see what Wathan's throwing down, or if he's throwing down this, or if he's waving you in. Like, they need to be smarter about the base running, because they left way too many runs on the plate by getting thrown out there. So just tighten that up. Castellanos, like I mentioned, is fun. Had a few walks, had a few doubles. Like, see him again? Maybe. And then Bellotti, I mentioned before, he's that dude. Like, Bellotti has been excellent so far this year. He takes the ball every day, pumps the strike zone, and just, here's my stuff, hit it. And then Alvarado is just like unfair. Like, he's just stupid. His saying strike 1, strike 2, good luck might be the most true statement I've ever heard. So moving on to the next series, we're playing the Miami Marlins, the mighty Marlins. We have game 1 is tonight. We have Sandy Alcantara versus Matt Strahm. We have Jesus Luzardo versus Aaron Nola, and Edward Cabrera versus Zach Wheeler. Boy, are those some great pitching matchups. I think it's going to be a lot of low scoring games, a lot of 2-1, 1-0, 3-2. I'm expecting a loss tonight against Sandy. He is just a workhorse. There's no working at bats against him, grinding at bats against him to get to their bullpen. Like, he's just so good. Like, it infuriates me. He is so good. So I'm expecting like a 2-0 loss tonight. But you have Jesus Luzardo versus Aaron Nola. Nola looked really good in his last start against the Yankees. He got pinched a little bit by the home plate umpire, so I'm not really reading into that all too much. So you have Nola, which I'm expecting good things, and then you have Edward Cabrera versus Zach Wheeler, which is going to be another great pitching matchup. Gene Segura is returning to Citizens Bank Park for the first time since joining Miami. I'm sure he's going to get his ring. He's going to get a great ovation. I love Gene Segura. I still love Gene Segura, even though he's on the Marlins now. So just take 2 out of 3. Again, I'm expecting a loss tonight. I think that's just what it is. Anytime you see Sandy's name there, and I feel like we face Sandy Alcantara all the time when we play the Marlins. Like, I feel like we never miss him. I'm expecting a loss, which sucks, but what are you going to do? Matt Strahm, we'll see what he's got again. He was excellent in his last start against the Yankees. So just pound the strike zone, have the same exact game plan that you had in that Yankee start and execute it with the Marlins. Nola looks to look better, and Wheeler, I think he will look better. So that's going to do it for me. We're going to have another episode Wednesday night. Yeah, because they play at 4 on Wednesday. So Wednesday night or Thursday morning, depending on what time that game wraps up. I never like to post real late because I like to get it out, relatively early so people can watch it and then see what I have to say about the next series. But regardless, I'll be back Wednesday or Thursday with the next episode talking about the Marlins series. But thank you so much for watching and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys then.